Hey travelers, Mag and I here on day 211 of our trip around the United States. This morning, we're kicking things off from right here in Veterans Memorial Park in Boulder City, just southeast of Las Vegas. I actually spent a couple of years living here in Boulder City during middle school, and so I'm very familiar with this town, and with my grandma living right here in town now, we went out and had breakfast with her this morning, and it was a great time to catch up. And now Aichan and I are ready to go explore Boulder City just a little bit and share some of the cool stuff that you can see around this little town outside of Vegas. From here in Veterans Memorial Park, we're going to make a few finds on the outskirts, then work our way right through the center of downtown Boulder City, where they have a lot of beautiful statues, parks, and hiking trails. If we still have time after that, we're going to make our way all the way out to Hoover Dam at the far edge of the state and get a little dam tour of that really cool place. I hope that you guys are going to enjoy getting to tour Boulder City as much as I'm excited to be able to show you this little town. So come along and let's see what this city has in store. Come on, let's go. Our first stop on this trip down memory lane is Veterans Memorial Park. This 25-acre park, located on the southern edge of the city, is adjacent to the Veterans Memorial Cemetery. In addition to its 4 lighted multi-use ball fields, it also features 2 volleyball courts, a fishing pond, a skate park, a bike park, splash pad, and horseshoe pits. There are several geocaches located throughout the park, providing the perfect excuse to climb up to the top of the rise and get the lay of the land of the surroundings below you. Aichan seemed to enjoy taking a leisurely stroll through the park and getting to meet the many other dogs out for a walk this morning too. The very first dog that we encountered, however, I would not allow Aichan to introduce herself. Although she was friendly and wanted to say hi, I recognized that this was no wild dog at all, but actually a coyote eyeing her up for the next meal. Not quite done with our morning walk yet, we headed across Boulder Highway into Bootleg Canyon Park. This vast park is well known for its outstanding hiking trails, beautiful lake views, and some of the best mountain biking in the area. It features more than 36 miles of trails, with the lower trails set aside for beginners and the upper trails available for those who want to challenge their skills. We did not set off into the greater part of the park though. Instead, we stuck to the relatively short trail system near the Nature Discovery Trail and Rock Garden. Following the windy path up to the top provides you a great view out over the area and the chance to find 2 traditional geocaches and an adventure lab focused on the statues along the trail. It was really the appeal of these statues that captured my attention in the first place and made me decide that this would be the perfect place to take Aichan on the second half of our hike for the day. Not added until 2015, these statues came more than a decade later after my departure from the city. In total, there are 7 huge concrete creations representing natural wildlife you can find in the area. Each of these gigantic animals is accompanied by an interpretive sign telling you interesting information that you may not have known. Such as the fact that the horny toad, while tough looking on the exterior, is actually one of the few harmless inhabitants of the Mojave Desert, with no toxic venom or painful sting associated to it. And that the Gila monster, which is in fact venomous, is the largest land-dwelling lizard native to the United States. You would think that with it being so humongous and brightly colored that there would be more spottings of this lizard in the desert, but that is simply not the case. It is capable of consuming a year's worth of calorie in just 3 to 4 meals, allowing it to go dormant and into hiding for months at a time. Of course, no day of geocaching would be complete without, well, geocaches of course. All along the way, as Aichan and I hiked our way through one park and then the other, we stopped to find each geocache listing along the way. Having only found a couple of regular-sized containers today, and only one of those actually being a regular-sized container, it was nice to have a look through the swag and the first aid kit before we continued on our way through the micros around the area. They were a lot of fun though, each one giving us a unique hide style to work with. This one in particular I think could be rather tough for new geocachers, as it is not exactly intuitive to have to fish this all the way out from deep within the pole. But the one that we found located at this picnic table was one of the toughest of the day, and really of this trip. It takes a lot of commitment to be willing to put your hands on what looks like a piece of gum under a picnic table. Once we finished off our morning, filled with fun hikes around beautiful parks in the city, we began to make our way through the downtown area, pursuing a series of adventure labs that have published since my last trip into town. Just like with the Las Vegas Strip, these adventure labs gave me the perfect excuse to retread ground that I have already cached through before. One of the adventure labs takes you on a walk through the downtown public artscape, which, added in 2006, was well after my departure from the city as well. This artscape walk provides just the perfect excuse to take a stroll through the entire downtown area to view the more than 30 eclectic statues spread throughout. And the walk only continues to grow with each passing year as the city continues to add more statues to the mix. Some will remain here on permanent display, while others are on temporary loan from artists. In fact, each year, Artscape takes about a dozen pieces of public art on loan, displaying them through the downtown area and paying the artist a $400 honorarium for the use of their art. The work from dozens of artists has been on display here, with most of them being from southern Nevada, but some coming as far away as Georgia. Most of the pieces on temporary loan are also available for sale to the public, with their price tags listed on the informational sign below them. Not that I would be capable of loading any of these statues into my Geomobile, but it's nice to know that the option is there. Walking through the downtown Boulder City area for me is always a trip down memory lane. While you may pass right by the hole-in-the-wall Tony's Pizza located along Main Street, every time I see it, I remember that's the spot where my friends and I would hang out on Friday and Saturday nights. That little dance studio across the street? Well, that's the place where I learned to jazz dance. Or maybe the spot where I opened my first bank account. In a lot of ways, the children's statues represent my youth in this city as well. Because many of these are activities I did on these streets when I lived in Boulder City too, including pigging out at the local eateries. My good friend Tom with Truax Outdoors, who you already met in Michigan when we paddled out to Power Island, was the first friend that I ever made when I moved to this city. When not setting out to explore another area of the desert, which we did quite frequently, you might find us hanging out in a park just up the road from these many statues on the Artscape walk. Sometimes we'd be up to no good, as a lot of kids our age might be, or sometimes we might just be riding our bikes around. Whatever the case may be, each street and each scene that you see holds a special memory for me. And I am really glad that I had the opportunity to take you on a tour through one of the places that I grew up as a child. Again, as we saw just a couple of days ago, when you dig through the glitz and the glam of the city of Las Vegas, you can find a ton of buried treasure just underneath the surface. And if you head in just about any direction outside of the city lights, you can find other small community towns just like this with their own unique flavors to offer. Having already completed the county challenge for the state of Nevada, See Well Sown Hemp, and the Little Orm Challenge, I have had the unique pleasure of being able to visit many of these small communities already in my travels. And while we will not be roaming Nevada very far outside of Las Vegas during our time here in the state, if you ever have the opportunity to visit the Battle-Born State, the place where I grew up, I encourage you to get out and visit many of these small desert communities. Just like what you've been able to see here in Boulder City today, you will be amazed by the many fascinating sights you will see and the desert beauty hidden all around you. All right, travelers, that is going to do it for our tour of Boulder City. We got to hit the trails first thing this morning. I try to enjoy a walk out in not only the Veterans Memorial Park, but also a park just above the city, which gave us fantastic views of the area below us. From there, we got to take a tour of downtown historic Boulder City, where they have a ton of statues to do. And unlike our norm, rather than doing a lot of geocaching today, though we did find some physical caches, we actually leaned more into the adventure labs because we'd already done most of the virtuals in this area, so it gave us a great way to re-explore this beautiful part of Boulder City. It's a little later in the day right now than I would want to use to go to Hoover Dam, so we're going to go ahead and shelf that. Maybe we'll have time to do it later. Maybe not. We still have some great things in store coming up in the next few days in Las Vegas. Thank you guys for joining us on this tour of Boulder City. Like this video, subscribe to stay tuned for daily updates, and we'll see you out on the trails.